like chilling on site. You got your gun, you're chilling on site, and suddenly like 6 smoke screens come in, 3 nuclear bombs come in, an elephant walks onto the screen, and like 11 Oompa Loompas run at you or something like that. Today, what I needed to address is because I had a most recent comment today, and the guy was entirely right. Because he said, where is it? Let me see if I can find it. Okay, it's this one right here. Juno is actually a nice name, to be honest. Also, characters have 4 abilities. The jump and the knives are 2 different abilities. And he's absolutely right. Characters definitely have 4 abilities in the game, is what I realized. I went back to the trailer, and I did my research, and they absolutely do. But for our character highlight thing that we've been doing on the channel for Project A, is we highlighted Juno before, and then we highlighted Dusa yesterday, and we have a new one for today. And we did 3 abilities for those characters each, because I thought that there was going to be 3 abilities in the game. And the reason... Well, first of all, I want to say I really appreciate comments like this. Like when people come in and they're like, "Hey, by the way, there's 4 abilities." I appreciate that kind of stuff because it helps me not look like an idiot. Because all I know is based off of speculation from the game. Obviously, none of us can play the game, so it's just everything that I've seen from the trailer, and I give my own takes on it and everything that I've heard. So when people come in and they're like, "Hey, just so you know, you're wrong," I appreciate that because then it's like, okay, well that gives me the chance to go back and be right. And like that's how you grow as a person. Like when people call you out on that stuff. So it's like I'm like obviously I'm very open to people disagreeing with me on anything. And if people ever disagree with any of the takes I have, go ahead and do it. Like I said, the only information that we have is from the trailer and from what devs say. So speculation is like all that we can do. Previously though, the reason that I thought there was only 3 abilities in the game per character is because 4 abilities sounds like a heckin' lot to give a character in a game like this. If my character is killed in 1 hit in Project A, I don't want people zigzagging across the screen and like explosions happening all over the place. Like imagine if there are 5 characters on a team and each character has 4 abilities, that is 20 possible abilities that could be used in every single round. That is so much. There's so many abilities. Like, oh my goodness. All I can think of is like fucking walls just appearing everywhere. Because out of the trailer, out of what we've seen, we already know that 2 characters have a wall, and then 2 characters have a smoke screen. So like, if those are just out of the 3 characters that we've seen, how many people are gonna have a freaking wall going up everywhere that we walk around, dude? How many walls are we gonna get? But like, I'm sure they've got their game figured out and stuff, and I know that they know what they're doing with their 4 abilities. So I'm sure I trust Riot Games. It's gonna be fine. I'm really excited for it. But something that is actually really intriguing when I started looking at the trailer again is that I pulled up these images here because this was shown in the trailer, and if you look very closely, you can see on this one it has a little blue bar down here, right? This is one of the abilities right here, and this is another ability. This ability doesn't have the blue bar. And this ability is the one right next to it. So, like, hypothetically speaking, you would say that these are, like, basic abilities, like these 3 right here, right? So how come this one is usable when this one is not? And it looked like the way that it was charging up was from this blue bar right here. So this one's at, like, 1 notch, and this has 1 use of it right there. I'm not sure if this is gonna be correlated to the, like, amount of rounds that they are into the game, or if these abilities are going to be charged up over the course of the rounds. So say that like if we're going like Counter-Strike Go logic, maybe there's like 15 rounds or something. And as the rounds progress, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe you get access to more abilities, or maybe as you kill people or as the rounds progress, you get access to more abilities, but when you use them, they go away. So say like he has this 1 charge of his dash, we would think. What if he uses that dash and he doesn't get that back until it charges back up? Which could be like 1 round from now, that could be 2 rounds from now, that could be 3 rounds from now. I think that's like a really interesting concept where so like I said earlier, like it kind of worries me the idea of having that many abilities in a game. If you were running something like this, that would kind of get rid of the idea that like all these abilities are always going to be coming at the same time, because that adds a lot more hidden value to the abilities. It almost makes it so you can eco with an ability like just as you can eco with weapons, you know? Like you could save up your abilities and deliberately not use them in a round so that your team can have the same amount of abilities like later so they can actually make a play on a site. I think that would be really interesting, like that sort of idea. And this also proposes the idea that the game is going to have pistol rounds, which is like, if you don't know what that means, but like with Counter-Strike, the first round of each side is played with just a pistol because that's all that you can afford. And I like that idea where it's like the first round is going to be as bare bones as it is. Like maybe you can choose different weapons, but your abilities, maybe starting out, you don't get access to any of your abilities, and you unlock them as the rounds progress. I think that would be like really cool. Um, but like imagine the enemies not using their abilities and just waiting to absolutely like decimate you. Like the fear of like you're winning a game, it's like 7-0, like it round wise, and you just know like you're like they haven't been using abilities, and then suddenly you're like chilling on site, you got your gun, you're chilling on site, and suddenly like 6 smoke screens come in, 3 nuclear bombs come in, an elephant walks onto the screen, and like 11 Oompa Loompas run at you or something like that. And like just a ton of stuff is going on. And it's just like that's because they took the time to like save up on these rounds and stuff. And it, like suddenly like mission failed, we'll get him next time, you know? Like I think that would be hilarious. And I think that would be really awesome for the game where it's like it adds more value to your abilities than like being able to use something. So like Tracer gets 3 dashes, right, in a game of Overwatch. And if she dashes, it's not that big of a weight on her because like that worst case scenario, she just has to wait like another 8 seconds, right, to wait for her next dash. But in a game like this where it's like if you use your smoke screen, you're not going to have that smoke screen again for like another 2 rounds maybe. So it's like the time that you use it, you really want it to be impactful. And something I could compare this to would be a game like League of Legends, for example. And I play a lot of League, so I think this is the game that I can most easily compare it to. In a game like League, when you use your Flash, Flash is like huge, like instrumental ability in that game. Every single character pretty much runs Flash, despite the fact that there are other options. And it's because this ability literally changed the entire game. If Flash was not in the game, League would be completely different. And this ability, you can actually only use it once every 5 minutes, which equates to around 5 or 6 times a game, if the game goes for like 30 minutes. And for an ability that you only use 5 or 6 times a game, literally the way that you use it will change how the game is it will change the outcome of the game basically. So like if you use your Flash to solo kill somebody when you're playing a character like Annie when you need it to engage or something like that, then automatically your character has become like severely weaker. Like the amount of power that your character now has because you can now not engage onto an enemy team like that. And it's like the idea that if these abilities were not being able to be used every single round, like or every single 10 seconds, and you had to wait to use them, I think that would have a lot of impact on the game in the long run. And that's something that I'd really like to see with it. But and that's kind of implying like so maybe these really high impact abilities are going to be like ultimate abilities or something like that. But if they're not going to be ultimates, I'd really like to see it done that way. If they are going to be ultimates, then I trust Riot, I guess, to do their best job to make sure that like everything's not going to be broken. Obviously, the game's not going to be playable if, like I said, you have 11 elephants and Oompa Loompas running onto your screen all the time. But like they'll find a way to make it work where it feels the most appropriate. But that's basically my idea. Should each character's abilities be usable every single round, or do other people think that they do other people kind of like the idea that I was looking towards, where basically you'll use it maybe once like every few rounds, or you'll have rounds where you center them, where you focus them around using those abilities, basically. That's kind of like the question that I would ask people. But basically, yeah, that was our first talk. I felt good about that. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave the video a thumbs up because it's going to be uploaded to YouTube too. Anybody in chat, feel free to give me your takes. Other than that, subscribe to the channel. We talk about a lot of Project A stuff. And yeah, sweet. Sounds good.